Hey guys, so I'm just gonna make another video about a subject that I think is important to understand when it comes to training the doggies. This concept, once I understood this concept, it really put me in a really nice position because it just brought me to understand behavior in a way that's natural and you know, so let's get straight to it. So obedience is not a human construct, right? It's not, we didn't create obedience, right? Obedience is nature's way of making sure the predator gets what it needs, which is the prey, right? A lot of times though, when I'm dealing with laymen, okay, we have to spend a lot of time in doing what I would call old school dog training, which I don't have any problem with. It's just what I call it, right? What happened? What happened to my face? Okay, there it goes. So there's a lot of merit to that. I mean, you're just having a conversation with the dog, right? It's the old school dog training. So sit, and if the dog doesn't sit, you say no and you give it a correction, right? It's just the simplest type of stuff. It has a lot of merit to it. But that's not the end all be all of what I would say your responsibility is when it comes to understanding behavior, right? That's just one side of the coin, right? The other side of the coin is understanding that obedience is not a human construct and that the dog already understands how to behave and they understand it better than we could possibly know, depending on your level of experience, right? In nature, there's no one selling the system where it's like, you do this, 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 and this, and this, and you'll get a successful hunt 99.9% of the time. Buy now and get a discount, right? There's no one selling, there's no one teaching, there's no one prescribing methods out to other predators on how to hunt, right? Predators have to figure it out for themselves. There's a little to be said about monkey see, monkey do, but I wouldn't say that's the end all be all of how a predator learns to hunt successfully. My favorite example is the crocodile and the antelope. So you have the antelope, it's a very sensitive, nice animal, right? And then you have the crocodile, brute, I mean, the definition of a predator, right? So instinctually wired, right? Not that the predator antelope isn't, but you get what I'm saying. How does the crocodile, or it could be alligator, I'm not too sure which one it is to be exact, but how does that reptile, dinosaur basically, how does that predator learn to be still like that? I mean, sometimes they can be still for, I mean, I don't know from experience, but a long time. You gotta imagine, right? That's what they have to do in order to get the prey, right? Other predators spend a lot of time chasing, but there's no question that in every hunt, a predator has to be absolutely still because their presence is gonna, the younger the predator is, the harder that's gonna be because their instincts aren't in tune and seasoned, right? And it's rather cute sometimes when you watch, like a puppy, for instance, the first time they see prey, they'll go after it. The prey will move away because the prey might be mature and, obviously they know, they can get away from the puppy very easily. And as soon as they move away, the puppy will stop because they understand innately that they can't get to the prey anymore. And then something really awesome happens. If you watch it, the process, right? It's really awesome. The predator starts to understand that they have an impact on the world around them. When you see this happen, you see, the look on their face is awesome, right? As much as it is important to teach our dogs to be calm through conversation with our dog and like old school obedience training, it's even more important if you're looking for really solid behavior to approach the other side of the coin, right? Which is simply getting the dog to understand that calmness is going to get it what it wants, but not through you teaching it, through the dog experiencing it on its own, okay? And so what we have to do is create an environment, right, and activities that naturally bring out this calmness and then reward it, right? The dog doesn't really know that we have anything to do with it, but we do. But not in the way that we usually do, right? We're doing it through what we would call an indirect reward, right? It's so important to spend a lot of time in this side of the spectrum because it's natural, right? And if you're looking for really solid behavior, right, that's what you have to do, you know? I guess another good example that I could use is like, let's talk about the sit, let's talk about the down, right? A lot of times people will tell me, oh, a lot of times people have trouble with getting their dog into a down. And there's a lot of science behind that, interesting science behind that. So they can put pressure on their dog, right, and get them to sit, but they can't put pressure on their dog and get them down. Maybe someone else can, like maybe if they bring in someone like an experienced trainer, like myself, or just another experienced trainer, maybe the trainer will be able to get it. That is happening because that person is skilled and understands energy in a more advanced way. But the reality is that they haven't even tried the other side of the coin, which is trying to get the dog to get down through accessing a reward, not through pressure, right? When we put the dog in a situation where they have to get something through a reward, right, they're putting the pressure on themselves, right? And there's a hierarchy sort of to behavior. First they sit, then they down, and then they could stay down for a long time. You can call that a stay, right? That's sort of like the hierarchy of behaviors, right? And depending on how valuable that reward is to the dog, right, it will happen because this is how it happens, right? You might have to really wait a long time, and that's sort of the part that, you know, you talk about classical conditioning. That's one of the things that classical conditioning comes with, is being incredibly patient. But once you get that behavior, it is solid as fuck. Excuse my language. And the dog has learned. So you don't really have to wait as long the next time, right? Then once the dog understands the behavior, then we can start putting pressure on the dog, right? And layering what we want, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, that's all I got for right now. There's two sides of the coin when we're talking about dog training, you know? It's us telling the dog what to do, and then us realizing that the dog already knows what to do better than we could really show it, right? And if we just create an environment that brings those behaviors out naturally and reward them, the behavior is gonna look good. It's gonna be good in terms of the, in terms of what it actually is, right? And yeah, and then you can just go from there, you know? If you have some trainers, you know, a lot of the European trainers, they have a habit of saying, we learn the dog this, we learn the dog that, they don't say we teach the dog. You know, there's probably someone out there who's gonna be saying that that's semantics. I don't think so. I think there's a lot to it. There's a big difference there, right? The first time I heard that, I was like, all right, that's a funny way of looking at things, but is there something there? And there is, because as much as we can teach the dog behaviors, the reality is that they already know. And we're sort of just like there to create that environment for them where they can achieve those behaviors in a really beautiful way. And Yeah, that's it. So there's two sides of the spectrum. There's two sides of the coin, right? Practice both sides. Let me see here. Yeah, oh, I went dark again. Okay, I think that's gonna be it. Why does it do that? It's crazy. All right, I'm done. Peace. If you have any questions, let me know. Wait, hold on. Let's try it again.